Can you actually erase a game key card with a magnet? This is a question that came up when leading up to the Switch 2 launch. There was a warning that was found on a box art similar to this one, and it mentioned a strong magnet could make the game key card unusable. I did have to look around a bit to find that same warning on Street Fighter 6. It's back here on the reverse cover art. There is a warning that's printed right down here, just with some additional info. But it says, do not place the game key card in close contact with a strong magnet. The game key card may become unusable. So, naturally, what I figured we would do is, well, put magnets on some game key cards. Well, specifically Street Fighter 6, different types of magnets, different intensities to see if it's really possible. Like, could you make your game key card completely unusable? And I guess if so, how strong of a magnet do you need? Well, that's what we'll do now. So if you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. I'd like to keep Street Fighter 6 working, but I guess it's for science, so we'll see how it goes. I do have a control here as well. That's Cyberpunk 2077. That is the standard style cartridge that we've been used to for a while, where everything's on the cartridge. This just being an authentication. And now, because of the warning around a magnet being used, there's speculation that it's using some form of MRAM, maybe to store the very tiny key. And that's different than what we see in like standard cartridges of, say, 64 gigabytes. MRAM, it's non-volatile memory, and that stores data using magnetic storage elements. So I have Street Fighter 6 right here. What I want to do first is show that it does work. So let's pop it in here. Just like that. And it'll come up right there. So it does recognize it. I already have it all downloaded and ready to play. From here, let's start with the first type of magnet, and it's something I saw people bring up, and it's kind of a funny idea, but that's the side of the Switch 2. Well, at first people were trying to figure out how it was attaching. There's magnets involved here, sure, because that's how it's making that nice, that satisfying click in. Well, we have metal here for SL and SR, and that connects to two magnets that are in here. So they're pretty strong magnets, I will say that. Now, I'm not really sure how I would even get this cartridge in here to where it would make solid contact. There's this small, almost sticker right here, like plastic sticker. That's the only barrier between like you and the magnet. So it's not like there's a huge piece of plastic. I thought maybe I could just kind of sit this there, flip it upside down. I'm trying to think of how someone would accidentally even get this thing there. I mean, that's where the chip is, so I guess that's the closest you're gonna get to it, is like that. I think that's a fair amount for as close as I can get the thing to it. Let's go ahead and move the menu down to see if it jumps to it when I drop this back in. And there you go. It does indeed still work. So I guess I'd consider that level 1, and it passed. So no, the side of your Switch 2 won't erase your game key card, which to me is good news. Now, what would be level 2? That'd be this magnet I took off of the fridge when no one was looking. It's a pretty standard magnet. It's one you would have on your fridge, and so it's not super strong. I mean, it's strong enough, so if I take any one of these bits, for example, here, it'll stick to it. So it's not exactly like huge force or anything pulling it. So we can just kind of put that right on there. Get the switch back over here. But over, so the chip is down here at the bottom. So we'll just put that on there, move it around. Figure like a good 10 seconds for any of these tests with the magnets should be good. Just moving it around as best I can, making strong contact. And it looks like, all right, it's still coming up. Okay, so the S was not able to erase it. All right, so there we go. All right, let's move on to the next step here, which I have one of these guys. This is a little stronger. It's kind of like this rectangular magnet, right? But as you saw with the S, that wasn't that strong, say, when attached to this guy. This one is quite a bit stronger, all right? So we'll try that one next. Same deal, just gonna drop it on here. Good 10 seconds, I feel like, all the way around through the plastic. Okay, and then we'll drop it in here. And we still have it. All right. still wants to start up. And the last one I have is this guy right here. It's rated as a 25-pound magnet, as in you would put it, say, on a metal like ceiling or roofing or something, and then you can hang it off of here. It's pretty strong. So if you say drop this on it, this thing itself is pretty heavy. So it has no issues just kind of grabbing on and staying there. All right. So this is the strongest magnet I have right now. And realistically, if you go much more intense than this or stronger magnets than this, you're probably not going to find them around the house very often. So at this point, we'd go like worst case scenario. All right, just going around the edge here. Just holding it against the magnet. A good 10 seconds or so, flipping it around. All right, here we go. We'll drop Street Fighter 6 in. Yeah. Still comes right up. There it is. We'll let it start up. Which really just needs authentication at this point. It's just going to jump over to the installed Street Fighter 6. I mean, I did quite a bit here to try to erase this thing with a magnet. I guess the refrigerator magnet. I'm trying to think of a scenario where you would end up with a magnet on top of a game key card, or like within proximity of one. I guess if you have your system in, I don't know, a workshop or something, I guess in a garage. Like I could see how maybe in a garage it would come in contact with a magnet, but I'm putting it through just about the worst case scenario outside of going crazy and getting, I mean, look, I got 2 magnets, 3 magnets. There you go. We're just burying it in a magnet right now. Now, I didn't take it out of the plastic because that sounds like a very outlandish scenario then. If you put it outside of the plastic, someone has now opened their cartridge and it's fallen onto an incredibly strong magnet all at once. What I will do real quick, actually, let me just go ahead and delete the Street Fighter 6. Yeah, let me delete the Street Fighter 6 install and just make sure I can call to the server. Okay, so I deleted it. Let's go ahead and plug this guy in right here. Yep, so you need to download anyway. So it still sees it, game key card, the whole thing. And there you go. So it's gonna start downloading. So, I mean, good news there is, at least with the warning that's on the case, well, the reverse cover art part, but like the warning is there. I understand that very concerning. When you read that, you're like, oh, okay, what's going on with these game key cards? Why would it potentially be erased by a magnet? Before doing this, I did look a bit into MRAM because I really wasn't that familiar with it. And it does appear that many of the manufacturers for these different types of MRAM that are specifically produced for like what we're seeing right now with the game key card, it's had time to improve and get better and become more resistant to more everyday magnetic fields, or in this case, just magnets that you would throw at it. So they've done things with shielding and other aspects in order to have it stand up to the idea of corrupting it or damaging it with a typical magnet. And from what I've seen, the time where it'd be most susceptible to being damaged by a magnet would be during, say, reading or writing. And as we know with the game key card, it's a very small window for that, since it's the only thing it's there to do is just authenticate and tell the system that, yes, you do own at least a license or a key to then download or play that downloaded file for this Street Fighter 6 that's on your Switch 2. So I did have an idea of Street Fighter 6 probably wouldn't necessarily be erased by some of the magnets that I have here, but I thought it was still an interesting experiment to run just to see, because that's how you're really going to find out, is if you just do a full-on test in the real world and see what happens, because there's still a lot of stuff we don't necessarily know about these game key cards. So it was an interesting thing to at least try out. But I still wouldn't go around putting a magnet on your game key card on purpose and putting it to the test. All right, so there you go, game key card. This is going to take a while to download because well, the game's not on the cartridge, so there you go. Let me know what you guys think about this one, though, down below. It was a requested test after the information came out from that warning, so I wanted to at least go ahead and put it together in a video because people were very curious about it. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.